welcome to Good Game Spawn Point, the show for younger gamers by gamers. I'm Bajo.
And I am your co-presenter, Darren.
That's right, Darren is temporarily filling in for Hex as she's a bit unwell this week. Hex is actually sick, right, Darren? You haven't tracked her in some force field somewhere.
Affirmative.
Affirmative? Well, let her out!
Affirmative. Hex is sick. Scanning. Diagnosed. She has rhinorrhea.
Rhino what?
A runny nose. And a cough.
Well, Hex, get well soon. But as they say in showbiz, the show must go on.
Affirmative.
And this week we're going to have a look at Journey, which is quite a unique and fascinating little game.
And we'll meet a real-life architect who also likes to build things in Minecraft.
But first, let's see if Jack and Daxter have survived the transition into high definition.
Let's.
It's been over a decade since the original Jack and Daxter game, and now the first three have been remastered in high definition for the PS3.
The first game begins with Jack and his mischievous friend Daxter exploring Misty Island, despite being warned of its danger.
I think we're in trouble!
After a minor accident where Daxter is transformed into an ottsel, a hybrid between an otter and a weasel.
Man, that stung!
The pair set off to transform Daxter back into his human form.
Are you gonna keep yapping, or are you gonna help me out of this mess?
To explore new areas, you'll need to collect power cells, and these can be gained by doing quests for people about the place, or by finding precious precursor orbs.
There are various types of eco, power-ups, that temporarily enhance your moves. Blue eco makes you faster, red eco makes your attacks stronger, and yellow eco lets you shoot energy projectiles. Especially like the sections where you need to reach a certain place with blue eco still active in order to activate a platform to get more precious precursor orbs.
Yes, I found getting those orbs quite addictive, Darren. In fact, I got a bit obsessed with it. What do you think about the combat? It felt a bit simple to me.
Affirmative. I didn't enjoy it that much. Most enemies go down in one hit, and I found myself missing quite a bit. The boss fights are still quite good though, and they're nice and wacky. All three games have no loading times, which was quite revolutionary at the time and still holds up well today, although there are a few slow opening doors though.
Jack 2 and 3 got a whole lot darker, didn't it, Darren?
Affirmative. Edgy.
You're edgy.
Affirmative.
You should at least be dead with all the dark eco I pumped into you.
Set 2 years after the first game, Jack finds himself in a dystopia called Haven City and is being tortured with dark eco. After being rescued by Daxter, Jack soon discovers he can turn into a Dark Jack form, kind of like the werehog in Sonic Unleashed.
Daxter?
What the heck was that?
He then sets off after the man who kidnapped him.
Jack was a silent, cheeky character in the first game, but in Jack 2 and 3, not only does he gain a gruff and mean voice, but he also loses that innocence and charm he had in the first game.
I bet you've hatched another brilliant plan in that hungry little brain of yours.
I kind of miss the younger Jack.
Well, he's been through a lot, Darren, and besides, he's more rough and tough because of it, and I quite liked that. Daxter still remains his likeable self, though, and adds some much-needed comic relief to these two games.
We do your dirty work in the sewers and come back smelling worse than a wet hip hog in a warm barn. This could have a serious impact on the lady factor.
Jack 2 and 3 deviate greatly from the original, leaving the power cell collecting and eco-based gameplay behind and adding a morph gun into the mix. I quite enjoyed this fusion of platforming with guns.
Yeah, that scattergun really packs a punch, Darren. Although I found the auto-lock a bit hit and miss. In fact, I struggled with many of the controls in this game, especially the camera controls. It will go left and right around your character and in and out, but not up and down. No vertical control. Oh, it drove me crazy, Darren. To be fair, you don't really need it, but I've become to a custom way of things with camera controls, and I wanted it.
And during sections of the game that let you take control of a gun in first person, you're forced to use the left stick to aim.
You know, the left stick is for movement. That's the way of things. Also, to go back, you need to press the triangle button. Everybody knows it's circle or the button on the right-hand side, which makes you go back, not triangle.
Except if you're Japanese.
Well, that's true, Darren. But considering it's a 2012 remake, I think they should have updated the controls, Darren.
Well, fans of the original games might want the controls to be just as they were.
That's a good point, Darren, but I think newcomers newcomers to the series who are used to playing these kind of games a certain way might be confused by these outdated controls. But I think we should move on, don't you?
Affirmative. Now, in Jak 2, Haven City acts as the hub world where you get new moves for Dark Jak, complete side quests, which mainly involve finding an item within a time limit,
Good work, Jack.
and visit allies who give you missions. But most of them require you to travel outside of the city.
Now, Tara, we get a lot of emails from Spawnlings asking for a Grand Theft Auto or Saints Row game that is PG rated so they can play it, don't we? And I think this is probably as close as you're gonna get. You've got a mini-map with quest markers, and you can steal other people's vehicles called Zoomers, and you can even annoy the Crimson Guards. Mostly they don't care what you do, but the moment you touch them, bam, the chase is on.
The streets and skies of Haven City are pretty crowded, which I suppose makes the city more lively, but you have to travel across what feels like the entire city for each mission, and there's no fast travel, so the people around the vehicles become more of an obstacle. I found myself crashing a few times.
Why, Darren, I'm proud of you, admitting that you weren't good at something in a game. You're coming along as a game reviewer, I must say.
Affirmative. But you misunderstand. I wasn't admitting weakness, I was merely pointing out a fault in the game design.
Oh, well, that makes more sense. Well, I just made other vehicles crash.
That works too.
At least in Jak 3, it's a more condensed city, and you travel about on leaper lizards, which are faster and less prone to crashing.
You also gain the ability to transform into Light Jak form, which gives you various powers like creating a shield or healing yourself. I also enjoyed the new gun upgrades, especially the beam reflexor.
Much of Jak 3 takes place in a wasteland where you get to ride around in buggies. I thought these handled quite well, Darren, but I still skidded and toppled all over the place.
Oh, you certainly did. I didn't mind the buggies that much, though the one vehicle that really annoyed me was the hoverboard. It's just so hard to control, and for anyone that's ever played a skateboarding or snowboarding game before, the button layout just felt completely wrong. Thankfully, those sections are fairly short.
Yeah, such a shame, Darren. I love hoverboards more than anything else ever.
Affirmative. We should also warn the Spawnlings that these are pretty difficult games, particularly Jak 2 and 3. Checkpoints are scarce, and timed events will have you retrying again and again and again. But I think we should wrap this up. Final thoughts?
All right, Darren. Well, I struggled with the controls at times, and there is a lot of variety here, but it's not the best racer, it's not the best platformer. You could say it's a jack of all trades. I'm gonna give it 6 out of 10 rubber chickens. Hex would have liked that joke, Darren.
These games do show their age in places, but for fans of the series, they're a chance to relive some happy memories. And it is 3 games in 1, so I'm giving it 7.5 rubber chickens.
All right, well, I'm gonna go read the news.
Bajo,
Yes, Darren?
could I do the news, please?
All right, but as long as you promise not to be completely boring.
Oh, affirmative!
All right, off you go.
Okay, get the blazer and the glasses and the facts. Right, bowler hat, cravat in place. This is Darren, here at the Good Game News Desk. It's time for information! Right. Let me sync with the cycles emitting from the central CPU on the Darren Cave. Filling with info. Right. Complex deformation on the floor of the Colorus Basin on the planet Mercury, as observed from the spacecraft Messenger, has proved that the surface has long been shaped by active tectonic processes. Hello, this is Darren from the Good Game News Desk.
Darren?
Oh, hello, Bajo.
Hi, Darren. You're not doing it properly.
What do you mean I'm not doing it properly?
You're talking about boring space stuff, and you're meant to be talking about gaming news. This is gaming news.
Oh, all right. Bye. Right, on with the news. A Lego model of the International Space Station has been built on the actual International Space Station. Incredible! Oh. Flight engineer Satoshi Furukawa spent 2 hours building the model in a glove box, so the pieces didn't float around and endanger the actual station. As soon as it was built, it was dismantled, as apparently Lego bricks in space are highly inflammable. Scanning for news. Excellent. A fully functional scientific graphic calculator has been created inside Minecraft. 16-year-old Spawnling Max SGB created the 5 million cubic meter object, which is capable of 14 functions, BCD input, 2 BCD to binary decoders, 3 binary to BCD decoders, and 6 rapid BCD adders and subtractors. News complete. Right, back to the den of gaming. I'm so good at the news. Reversing in.
Keep going, you're good.
Am I clear?
You're clear. Watch the chair, watch the chair, watch the chair. Oh, watch the chair, Darren. Right, welcome back, Darren. Did you enjoy that?
Affirmative.
I'm not sure anyone else did. Moving right along, playing Minecraft is all about building and designing things.
And being an architect is all about designing and building things.
Well, David does both. Oh, nice lean in, Darren. Have you got a little booster down there?
Affirmative.
An architect is someone who designs buildings and spaces. So we design environments for people. I first got into architecture through studying art at school. And I had a fantastic art teacher who taught us architecture as part of the history component. So we studied buildings from ancient Egyptian times, ancient Greek times, right up to the modern period. And that got me interested enough to apply for architecture at uni. The best thing about being an architect is being able to create things and to see them being made. I think that's one of the most fun parts. A couple of years ago, one of the guys in our office showed us this fantastic new game he was playing. It was Minecraft, and it just seemed fantastic because it was basically an immersive Lego online. You could play with other people. It was instant, things happened quickly, and it just seemed like a fantastic thing to do and to explore. But we actually recently used it to try and recreate an actual environment that exists not far from here to see what would happen if we put it open to the public. So we rebuilt a part of an existing building and put it on a public server. People started to build farms, they started to build roller coasters, they started to dig tunnels, they started to build lava fountains. We built a library in there. All sorts of things started to be built. And then they started building outside the building as well, which was fantastic. There's lots of things that interested me about Minecraft. First, the whole 64-bit simple graphics were wonderful. The fact that it was based on an actual tangible dimension. Everything's made on a 1 metre cube. So you could get an idea of scale instantly. And you can do things really, really quickly. One thing that we were looking for was how to be able to model large buildings simply and quickly on the screen, and Minecraft seemed much quicker and much more intuitive than some of the computer drafting programs that we were using. I think there's a lot that can be taken from Minecraft. There's the social aspect, which is important. It does actually bring a lot of people together. Our kids at home are playing with their friends in Switzerland, for example, so they can interact in that way. We've actually used the graphics that Minecraft uses as a starting point to adapt a system to buildings that we are actually going to build in the near future. Anyone who wants to get into architecture, Minecraft's a great start. Just start building things. Just start looking around your environment. Everything's interesting. Build stuff, make stuff, just have fun.
All right, time for Ask Good Game. Now, Darren, you've done this before, so you know how it goes, and you also know the rules that we previously agreed on. No boring stuff, no random tangents, and definitely no singing.
Affirmative, Bajo. Now let's get straight into these questions. And how about we start with, this from Chaz in Lismore, New South Wales.
Going good so far. I'm watching you, though.
Hi GGSP, I'm your biggest fan and I watch the show whenever it is on. My question is, 1, is that game called SSX out yet and where can I get it? 2, can I get your Minecraft world on the free version of Minecraft? I hope I can. 3, what are some good games like Need for Speed Hot Pursuit? Really intense.
Yes, Chaz, SSX is out right now and should be available at any decent game shop, but it's only on PS3 and 360, so we and PC gamers are out of luck, at least for now.
And sadly, no, our world won't work on the free version of Minecraft. The free version is outdated, so it won't work with recent saves. Not to mention you can't load or save games at all.
As for intense racing games, split-second velocity is great, it's very fast, and there's heaps of huge explosions and weapons. Explosions. Okay, Darren, let's move on to the next question, shall we?
Go affirmative. And it's from Bazza in Kilcoy, Queensland.
Hi GGSP, do you know any really good games where you are an almighty ruler over a big area? I know that you like space facts, so did you know that on Uranus at the South Pole, summer lasts 42 years? That's a long summer. Thanks for that little fact, Bazza, and it's interesting, isn't it, Darren?
Oh, well, Bajo, did you know that all of the planets and asteroids and moons in our solar system account for less than 1% of its total mass? Because the sun is 99.86% of it all.
I did know that, Darren. It's also fascinating.
And in about 5 billion years, the sun will start growing and eventually get so big that it will swallow the Earth and finally explode.
That's kind of scary, Darren, but 5 billion years is a long time, Spawnlings, and I'm sure we'll all be living on other planets very far away by then, so it's probably best not to worry about it just yet.
And did you know that they zoomed in really far on a single point in space that appeared to be completely empty, but they found over 10,000 galaxies there? That means that every little speck of sky, there are thousands of galaxies, each with billions of stars.
Okay, Darren, that's all very awesome, but we should really get back to the questions.
Oh, of course.
Going off the rails a little bit there.
What was the question?
Oh yeah, can you think of any games where you might get to be an almighty ruler?
Oh, well, of course, there's the Tropico games, which lets you be an all-powerful dictator, El Presidente, of your own small island nation. You can help make it a rich and prosperous country full of happy citizens, or you can make everyone live in dirty shacks and work on farms.
And of course, there's the excellent Caesar games. They're kind of like SimCity, except with an ancient Roman twist. The latest Caesar 4 is pretty good, but our personal favourite was Caesar 3.
Oh, you might also enjoy the Total War and Sid Meier's Civilization games. In both, you're placed as the leader of a civilization or clan and have to fight your way to dominance, crushing all who oppose you. But moving on to this from Andrew in Sydney, New South Wales. Dear GGSP, a few weeks ago, I purchased Super Mario Galaxy 2 in Singapore, and when I went home to Australia, Super Mario Galaxy 2 wasn't working. I realised it wasn't working because I bought my Wii in Australia, not Singapore. Now, I want to order Kid Icarus Uprising on the 3DS in a UK website because it was really cheap. And when I get it, will it not work because my 3DS was purchased in Australia? Please answer. Smiley face.
Well, Andrew, that's unfortunate about Mario Galaxy, but the 3DS is region locked too, so buying games from overseas is always a bit of a risk.
Affirmative. However, I do have good news for you, Andrew. The 3DS's region locking is split into just 3 regions: America, Europe, and Japan. And Australia has been included in the Europe region, so 3DS games bought in the UK will work on Australian 3DSs.
Yes, but don't buy any American or Japanese 3DS games and expect them to work here.
Oh, affirmative. Now, next we have this from Kate in Brissy, Queensland.
Brissy's my hometown. I grew up in Brissy. It was really cool. Have you ever been?
Oh, of course. So many noobs, so little time.
Hi GGSP, I really like the Sam & Max games, and I was wondering if there was any really good ones for the PC. I look at your Minecraft thing, and it was really cool. Hex, you're super nice, and Bajo, you give good advice. And Darren, where are your chill pills? Byes. Yeah, Darren, where are your chill pills?
Well, Bajo, in case you haven't noticed, I am a robot, and medications are ineffective on robot physiology, so I lasered them. But to Kate's question, Sam & Max games have been around for almost 20 years. The first game, Sam & Max Hit the Road, came out on PC way back in 1993. An updated version was released in 2002, so it may be possible to still track it down on store shelves. As it's considered to be one of gaming's all-time greats, it's definitely worth playing.
But after a couple of Sam & Max sequels ended up being cancelled, it wasn't until 13 years later, in 2006, that the Dog and Rabbit detectives finally got a new game with the first episode of Sam & Max Save the World.
They're not detectives, Bajo, they're freelance police.
Oh.
Big difference. Since then, they've released 2 more seasons of Sam & Max games. Sam & Max Beyond Time and Space and Sam & Max The Devil's Playhouse. All 3 seasons are available online for PC and most other platforms as well.
And that's all the Sam & Max there is at the moment, and it's also all the time we have for this week. If you've got a question you'd like us to answer for you,
You can send it in here.
all right, Darren, we better get back to the Den of Gaming.
Affirmative. Right, I've just got to get out. Okay, I've got this.
Do you need a hand there?
I can do this.
Darren?
No, I'm okay. It's just my turning circle. It's a little wide.
Okay, hang on,
It's,
hang on.
No, I'm trying to do a 3-point turn. There were some challenging questions on our spawn point today, Bajo.
Yes, there were, Darren, and I was very proud of you. Except for that bit in the middle where you went off the rails, I thought you did really well.
Well, what's next?
Now, if you watch Adult Good Game, you probably saw Hex and I talking about a game called Journey. It was was such a unique and different experience that's doing some interesting things for gaming that we thought we absolutely had to talk about here on Spawn Point.
Affirmative. As gamers, we're used to hearing our favourite hobby being described as something that's just for fun, but not a whole lot more. That it's not nearly as sophisticated as, say, movies or books or even TV. Well, in Journey, the developers are aiming for more. They want you to have an emotional experience when you play this game. You begin the game as an unnamed robed figure on a vast landscape. There's no compass, no map, no heads-up display, no quest, no tutorial, no instructions at all.
And here is where the gamer inside you will take over. Rising up out of the distance, you'll see a giant peak with a glowing light, and you just know that you have to head towards it. And as you do, you'll see some ruins emerging from the sand dunes, and you'll get a handle on the way your character moves in the game. You can run, sand surf, and even fly for a little while.
The ribbons of fabric that spring from the ground, clusters of little flags, and strange flying fabric creatures all have a kind of life force to them, which you can bump into to give you a lift for a short period of time.
And the controls are so simple, aren't they? Only 2 buttons and the control sticks. X will make you jump and circle will make you sing out a musical symbol. You also have this long cape scarf thing around your neck which lights up. When it's lit, you can fly, but it quickly runs out. You can recharge it by finding those flying things or the floating bits of fabric.
You can also recharge it by pinging a friend.
Ah, the friend. Here you are in this vast landscape, feeling all alone, not knowing what to do and where to go, then all of a sudden, there's someone else with you. Now, when Hex first played this game, she didn't realize that this was going to happen, and it took her completely by surprise. She actually didn't realize it was a real-life player and had to log in and out a couple of times to work it out, thinking it might have just been an AI companion. But this other character's behavior was far too erratic for it to be just an artificial intelligence. It was another human in the game, and this is where the real challenge begins, just trying to communicate with this other player.
Though with only one symbol at your disposal, communication becomes difficult.
That's right, Darren, and for me that's where the whole joy of this game is, trying to communicate with that other human.
I wanted to find all the little secret sections and collect all the shiny power-ups to make my cape grow longer, but my partner just wanted to run ahead.
Well, there are a few tricks you can use. For example, when I wanted someone to come to me, I would just jump up and down or bing my music as fast as possible.
No matter how much I binged Bajo, I just could not get their attention.
And that's the thing, you never know who you're going to get online, so everyone's journey is going to be different. Some will be helpful and some won't be. This game is just beautiful, isn't it, Darren? Especially when you're surfing along the sand. There's such a sense of freedom as you glide and fly through the air. Some sections will take you through areas and chambers that involve jumping puzzles. Others have sinister creatures that will attempt to knock you down. And all the while you move forward in your journey to not sure where.
Hidden paintings will provide cryptic clues, and cutscenes that play out between areas will also help you piece together bits and pieces of who you are, where you're going, and why.
And that's another really fun part of the game, trying to work it out and interpret what all of these symbols and pictures mean. Darren, I got swept up in this game. The way that music ebbed and flowed with your actions, the rises, the falls, those moments of silence, and then those terrifying creatures. I gotta say, at one point I may have got a little emotional and I may have had a little tear in my eye. What about you?
Well, I am incapable of tears, Bajo, but this game certainly stirred up some strong feelings in my circuits. And the sand surfing reminded me of my days surfing on Mars. Of course, the dust on Mars is much finer, but of course that Martian powder allows you to pull off some pretty sick moves.
Can we get back to the review, please? Was there anything about the game that you didn't like?
Oh, affirmative. It's short, very short. You can play through in under 2 hours.
You know, I didn't mind the length. You can play it all in one sitting, and that's the way the game is designed to be, and you can play it again. Plus, when you play it for a second time, you might discover new areas, but you get to play with a completely different person and might have a completely different journey. But we should wrap this up. Darren, what do you think this game is worth?
Oh, this isn't just a game, Bajo. It's virtual art. The developers should be praised for trying something different and pulling it off so well. I'm giving it 9 out of 10 rubber chickens. Bajo?
Well, Journey is certainly a different type of game to anything you would have experienced before. And if you're the kind of gamer who wants to think a bit more deeply about what you've just experienced long after you put the controller down, this might be for you. I'm giving it 9 out of 10 rubber chickens as well. And if you do get the game, make sure you stay to the end of the credits because you get to see the names of all the people that you've met along the way.
Wouldn't it be great if games were taught in schools? You could have a lesson where everyone had to play Journey and then you could all talk about it afterwards. Try to work out what it meant and what it made you feel. What language you developed to communicate in-game.
Sounds like a great idea, Darren. Do you think someone would let us go be teachers for a day?
Oh, affirmative, affirmative. Oh, I could teach hypermathematics and laser repair. Oh, and 4-unit tax minimization.
That sounds really boring, Darren.
Maths. I love maths.
That's not what I meant. That sounds completely tedious. Well, my rambling robotic friend, it's time for us to say goodbye for another week.
Negative.
Affirmative, I'm afraid, but it has been fun. And before we go, could you please check on Hex and see how she's doing?
Oh, of course. Scanning. Scan complete. Her levels of nasal mucus are beginning to subside. I project her full recovery in 24 hours, 37 minutes, and 14 seconds.
Well, that was precise. Hang on, 24 hours... so that means she'll be back for next week.
Oh, affirmative.
Good, because we need to check out Kid Icarus.
Hikari Shinwa, Parutena no Kagami.
What are you talking about?
Kid Icarus, as it's known in Japan.
Well, it's a series that's laid dormant for 20 years, and now it's back on the 3DS.
Till next time, gamers, may all your games be good ones. Darren out.
Bajo out.
I didn't have time for my I'm No Noob challenge.
Oh, no, I'll do it next week, Darren.
Affirmative.
Hey, what was your favourite part of today? Did you have a good time?
Oh, affirmative. I had a great time. I'd say my favourite part was when I erased your memory.
I don't remember that.
Of course you don't.
What happened?